Hi, welcome to the Cherry Africa podcast. This is a show about the real human story behind success, including the mindsets, the emotions, the language, and the behaviors that lead to it. Specifically on emotions, they are not obstacles because there are good guys you probably haven't met before, and we are here to to unpack all the useful emotions that line up the path to your breakthrough. In every episode, I sit down with a leader, an expert, or a change maker, and we get honest. Before we delve into our topic, I wanted to introduce my very special guest. She is Rosario Cajucom-Bradbury, and she was a telephone operator, worked as a kitchen crew in Amazon Fresh, worked her way up to become managing director of a Swiss company, and then CEO, and then now she is general manager of Manila Polo Club. But all this did not happen in a straight line. She went all the way up, then all the way down, and all the way up again. And coming out, so much bigger, with a heart bigger than, before. And we are here to actually learn more about what happened in between those titles and how her daughter helped her to actually lead with a heart. Rosario, welcome to my podcast.
Thank you, Cherry. Such a pleasure to be invited by yourself and, of course, to be able to convey a message out there. So, thank you.
I am very excited to have a conversation with you. So we are going to start. Tell me more about your work at the Amazon Fresh.
Oh, Amazon Fresh. Straight to the Amazon Fresh.
Straight there.
That was during pandemic.
Okay.
Okay. And my daughter got a part-time job with Ulta, the beauty. And I'm a hawk mom. So I want to find out what she's doing.
So you're a tiger helicopter mom.
Yeah, helicopter mom, a hawk mom, or a tiger mom. So I tried to look for a job near her. So I saw Amazon, which is right beside Ulta, and I saw there was an opening. And I said, okay, let's give this a try so that then I'll try to do a shift between her. Hopefully I get accepted. And I was so happy that the Amazon was accepting applicants without even showing a CV.
Otherwise, you would probably have been rejected, right?
Yes, because I've been rejected so many times in the United States when I applied for a job because they say you're overqualified for this and that. And I wasn't even applying for a high position. I just want to get a job and get into the economy of America. But anyway, so I got accepted, and the only opening was a kitchen associate. So a kitchen associate basically cooks. So from as early as 4 o'clock, I'll prepare the kitchen for the breakfast, salad, the cold bar. And then by midday, I will be in the deli, which is cutting the ham into the size of size 2 or the cheese.
So expert ka na mag-cut ng ham.
Oh,
Alam mo na.
I know now what is a size 2, and I know when it expires. You plus 5 days or plus 11 days when you open it. And then otherwise, I will be in the back cooking the hot food for the lunch period already. You put all it in the oven. First in, first out. It's a very operational thing. And my colleagues there are all ages. And I was enjoying it so much because there are people in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s. And they're young kids of 18 years old, college students, and even senior high. And we were very diverse. There are a lot of Mexicans or Americans or Russian or from Middle East, and I was the only Asian. I was the
Wow.
only no, there was a Vietnamese there, and me as a Filipino in terms of our origin and things like that.
Wow. And that was after you became a managing director of a huge Swiss company, right? In the Philippines.
Correct. I was an MD and CEO for a Swiss company managing Philippines and Guam, and it's a Swiss company on inspection testing certification and a back office like a shared services BPO industry.
And
So,
how many employees did you have in that company?
in the Philippines, I have about 1,500 then.
Wow. It's a huge network.
Correct. I had laboratory analysts, because we were managing lab, inspecting a lot of goods from the various sectors, from mining to consumer products to industrial to agriculture, and at the same time managing our 24 by 7 BPO office servicing the 150 countries or affiliates of our Swiss company at the time.
This was SGS, right?
This was
and SGS has offices around the world.
Around the world in 150 countries.
Wow.
When I left, it's about almost 100,000 employees worldwide already.
And you were managing director of the Philippine office.
Correct. A Philippine office as an MD and a CEO for the back office.
So you did grunt work, no, at the Amazon Fresh.
Yes.
Right? A lot of manual labor,
Oh, yeah.
went to the ground, went to the trenches, right, to be with the grounds people.
Correct.
And it must be difficult, right, for the ego, you being a CEO, and then going there and, used to be you were just observing things from a distance. Now, you're there. You're right there. How hard was it?
I would say it wasn't hard because I was enjoying it. I think that's the most important thing. And I didn't apply there just because, how do I say it? My main purpose to apply there was one is to be near with my kid.
Okay.
As I told you, I wanted to spy on what my kid is doing and how, so that I'm near and things like that. And second, obviously, I wanted to be occupied and do something during pandemic. As you all know, we were trying to recreate or recreate ourselves. Okay, so my duty with Amazon was 4 o'clock to 12 o'clock, and then in the afternoon when Manila is about to open, I will be in a Zoom meeting because I have a board role with the Swiss Chamber, and I was doing a lot of work with Peter Wallace at the Wallace Business Forum, managing and hosting the webinars of Peter Wallace because that was the thing during pandemic. But how was it? Was it difficult for me? I would say I looked at it as what was my purpose for accepting it in the first place. My genuine purpose was to be near my kid, and second, to be busy. I enjoyed it a lot because my colleagues were very diverse. And I looked at it as it was like operations. I realized that managing a kitchen is just like any operations management. It's like any company you run, basically. I'm very operational attuned. And then when I was managing that kitchen with my other colleagues, it reminded me of the movie Ratatouille. You know, the Ratatouille on
Yes.
talagang, sabi ko, oh my God, it's all about operations manager. And I was seeing a lot of things that are areas for improvement. Naging antsy ako. And in Amazon, they have this, give us suggestions. I'll go online and pagdating ko sa gabi, I'll give my suggestion. Safety first on this, first in, first out on
So you will
this.
pretend to be another person and give
Yeah,
a
and the
suggestion.
evening. But as a colleague, it's open. They know who the...
Okay.
Okay. And then my family was saying, ba't ka naman nag-apply dyan? You're so overqualified. Ano ka ba? Undercover CEO? So we were like laughing because I was enjoying it. I think that was the most important thing. And I gained so many friends because when you are an immigrant in America, the first thing that you befriend with are usually kapwa Filipino. Of course, I have other friends there of different nationalities, but it was there that forced me to really create the connection in a deeper level. I've learned what is Mayo de Uno. Nakiparty ako sa mga young ones, 18, 20, 30s.
And how old were you then?
I was reaching I was in my late 50s.
Okay.
Okay? So that was that time and nakikiparty ako sa mga young ones.
That must be fun, right? I mean, the KRs are not as, huge and massive as a KR, the key results, right, expected of CEO. And it's
Yeah.
really just very liberating, I guess.
Yeah, another reflection. It reminded me when I was still a rank and file that you talk with your colleagues and you say, oh, ba't ganun si boss? Oh, ba't ganun si boss? That you know that the feelings of the people and their sentiments about the company that they work with are talked in the kitchen, in the canteen.
Oh, that's so interesting because we're saying, right, a lot of things happen in the pantry,
Correct.
the kitchen, right? the kitchen.
Everything, what is the real sentiments of the people. And as you go up into the ladder, you become a little bit detached because you become strategic. But of course, you're still deliberate in trying to understand the voices of the people. But it is not as first-hand information as when you are there on the ground unless you make really a deliberate intent to do so. So working in Amazon made me feel again when I was a staff level because I was hearing their comments and their feedback and how they feel about certain processes, rules, and all of those gimmick from their work. And you also hear what's happening about their family. And I realized, oh my God, it's really important to listen, hear the voices of your people. But the question, so my point is that from there I went up. Not that I forgot about that, but when I went back there, it reminded me of the value of hearing the voices and their opinion, their ideas. It's not only opinion and ideas, but what happens around their lives.
This is such an interesting plot twist, right? Because a lot of times when you rise from the ranks and become leader, and then you delegate, di ba, listening to the people, and this intel, right? You have two different data sets, and they don't talk to each other, right? The data set of the people there in the trenches or in the grounds, right, and the data set in the boardroom, parang they're not talking, right? They're not meeting. And here you are putting your body again, such an in-body experience, putting it back there in the ground where you get to hear the real culture, right? And what's important to people. So I wanted to ask you in this sort of like, undercover work that you did, right?
So,
Although
undercovers here.
unintentionally.
Unintentionally.
All right. What did you hear? I mean, what did you realize? People were talking about that were no longer being picked up in the boardroom.
The things like what makes them motivated to come to work,
Which is what?
and what demotivates them to come to work. Okay?
Okay.
Or why are they absent? What's going on in their lives? Okay? And I've realized, for example, only that people there are like working parents, also working mother, that they have certain worries at home about their kids. And I've realized their kid is the same age as my kid, which is a Z Gen. Okay? And she was telling me of certain, how do I say this, mental wellness situation of her kid. Especially it was pandemic at the time. Okay, so
Right.
everybody was really feeling it. And it made me relate of what is happening with my kid, why my kid speaks like that. So I feel suddenly grounded that hindi lang pala ako ang may ganong problema, pati rin sila. The other things that probably, and some people would not share that to management, okay? And management would just see that, bakit ka absent na naman, okay? Without yet realizing why. Okay. But of course, I'm not saying that management doesn't listen. But some people choose not to say, okay? And they would only more comfortable to say it to their colleagues of the same rank, okay? So it's a point of how does management can bridge that gap. Made me think, how can we bridge that? How can we make them come out and tell us simply because we really care, and not because we're curious only because nakikichismis ka, no? But because you really care. So how can management bridge that, break that people would feel you are genuinely interested?
But do people in the boardroom, and you've been in the boardroom many times, right? Being GM now of Polo Club, do they really want to listen? I mean, isn't that like noise and distraction, right? I mean, there's like this huge, massive key result. Like you need to achieve profitability and you need to actually achieve so much market share. And here you are with people concerns, right? I mean, are they really listening?
The board listens. It's just that sometimes we need to focus on what is the metrics of listening. We are always driven on the profitability, on the financial health, on the KPIs, on the KRAs. That I think what we need to rethink is there many ways of measuring KPIs now, which is, it's been a buzzword of experience, employee experience, customer experience. It's been a buzzword. But how do you even really put your shoes into the shoes of the people of employees' experience? Because that is the experience you want to know, and how you can make their experience more elevated. Because when it is more elevated, your talent retention increases. At the end of the day, in the boardroom, the board are very interested in talent retention. Because, it costs money to be having a high turnover. And you also want talent retention that they captures the culture. So your question is, does the boardroom even talk about it? Yes. But they try to balance really the metrics of the company in order to be sustainable on a long term. But they also realize that the engine of the company are the people behind. So I just hope that the boardroom doesn't get too derailed by numbers alone. There are things that numbers cannot measure. What are those? I always believe, and I've read this in some book, and I forgot who's the author, that the new ways of key performance indicators now are the eyes. And what is the I? You involve the people. Okay? You inspire the people. You inspire them in order so that the engagement becomes higher. You inform the people. It's all about communication. You keep them informed and you involve them and you inspire them. Those are your real metrics. It's not only with your people but also with your customer. You inform them, you involve them, and you inspire them and you engage them.
I guess before how you want to treat your customers, right, should first begin with how you treat your employees.
Exactly.
The people in the boardroom, okay, it feels like when you see them that they know how to win and they're winning all the time, right? That you have to be perfect to have earned your seat in the boardroom. And yet, all these people, they're human beings, right? They make mistakes.
Yeah.
So we talk about ego, for example, in leadership, and I look at your experience and it feels like you don't have any ego at all, that you've thrown it, right? I mean, you're enjoying all of your experiences wherever they are in the, in the leadership rung. So was there ever a time when your ego just appeared?
Honestly, ego doesn't even come into the picture when I do things. I look at it on what's the purpose? Why am I doing it? I center it on the purpose. Because if you put your ego ahead of the purpose, it clouds all your judgment. It will cloud the action you will take. If all you think is yourself, you think of others. We're servant leadership on one side, but at the end of the day, I'm not talking about being servant leadership. I'm talking about why am I doing that for? So it has to have a meaning. Okay? When there is a meaning, you become focused, you set aside ego. If there's any ego that ever happened in any of my experience, I won't even call it ego, but the pride of being a Filipino and the pride of my country and the capability of the people that we have in the country is the leader, for example, in the industry of the BPO industry or the IT BPM. Okay? That when they belittle the Filipino by doing that, that's when my pride comes out and I really fight for it. But the point, it's still what is the purpose, you know?
So the anger is attached when a purpose is violated, for example.
Correct.
And I have been told that you increase, and sometimes retention can increase if people are attached or are connected to their purpose, right? So it's important for companies to connect the corporate purpose to their individual,
Exactly.
ideals. But I have a question, because the purpose is too far in the future. Do you need to see it every day? Like, when things are hard, when you're so angry with your boss, how do you bring your purpose every day with you so that it inspires you, it motivates you?
There's so many noise around. When you listen to all those noise and you don't focus on the purpose and you get derailed, you have to really, sometimes I go like this, why am I here?
You do that every now and then.
Every now and then when it's needed. Because when there's so many noise, you get derailed and you forget the purpose. You forget why you're doing that. And if you get derailed, you lose time. You really lose where you want to go. And when you get derailed, you may hurt people along the way without realizing it. So it's very important to be grounded, and it's very important to remind yourselves what you're doing that. And it's at the end of the day, what comes out is your core values. Your core values. I go back to what you're saying, which is what the company purpose is and what is the purpose of the person. When you choose a company you work with, it's like marrying somebody. You have to have the same core values.
Happily ever
purpose.
after.
Happily ever after.
Bawal ang divorce.
Oo. Pwede ka naman mag-resign when you're no longer happy. But my point is this. If you wake up in the morning and you're dragging your feet to the office, you ask yourself, are you still happy? It's in the same thing with marriage. If you wake up and magulat ka sa katabi mo, hindi ka masaya pag nakita mo yung katabi mo. It's the same thing, So it's important that your values and the values of the company you work with, there's an alignment. I mentor a lot of college students going to a workforce. And the first thing I ask them to do, when you're applying for a job, you make a research about that job, about what they stand for, what is their culture, what is their core values. And you ask yourself, does it resonate to you? Because that's important. Not only that you prepare yourself during an interview so that they know you're really interested, but you're trying to assess whether there's an alignment between you and the company. There's such a thing as a principle of economy. May mga maraming economic principles. And one of them that stuck to my mind is always the principle of moral hazard. And that moral hazard is what's in it for the company and what's in it for the employees. And if the gap is so big, your moral hazard is so wide that the company has to make sure that they try to bridge it, that they select employees also that aligns with their core values. In a similar way that the people must go for a job that aligns with their values. On that basis, your moral hazard is minimize the gap. And then when there are big gap, the company has to do a deliberate programs for the people to realize what is their culture, what is their compass, what is their objective, and what is the value of their people bring towards that objective. So for me, really, it's an alignment is key.
Mentorship, for example, you
Yeah.
mentioned something like when you're misaligned, we mentor, right? It's easy to mentor when you're dissociated, meaning, for example, mentoring college students,
Yeah.
people outside of your workplace to mentor them, right? But when people are pasaway or they're misbehaving, right? Or they're not performing their best in your company, operationally, di ba, you are being distracted or, you're performing low because of a person. How hard or easy is it to mentor that person? Pag naiinis ka na, di ba?
Honesty is important. You gotta tell that person. You have to have a dialogue. You have to ask what's going on in your life. Is there any distraction? Because your competency is there. I've seen you perform well and so forth. It's so important to talk with great honesty to the person. And it's so important to tell the person how you feel about it. Not just that it is moving away to the target with the company, but it is also how you feel as the leader. Okay? So that's one thing that I try to do is a dialogue because you have to understand what's going on. The second thing that I ask myself is, has the goal of this person changed? Because everyone changes their goal in every stage of their life or their priorities in life change.
Right.
It's like a career. When you promote somebody, another question is it the right time? Is it the right time for that person? Even though he has all the qualifications and experience, but the person is not willing to take that time now. So I have to ask that to that person as well. Alam kong magaling siya, pero is the timing right? Baka naman she's going to a divorce or she's having a problem at home or something. Third is, I ask myself is, did I put this person at the right position? Baka hindi ko nakita na inilagay ko siya sa posisyon. Instead of a position for her to succeed, I have put her in a position that to fail. Why? Because parang matching lang yan eh. Did I match her competency, skills, and her passion to the right job description that I need and a company? Okay? So before I even try to, sadly to say, sometimes when you have to terminate people because they don't really perform, the last question I ask ourselves as leader. Our role is to put people in the right position where they will bloom. Where they will bloom is because it's a job that they're very passionate with. Because once you're passionate about it, the competency skills will come and you can upskill and reskill them. But if you put them in a job simply because they take it because the salary is higher, but it is not their passion, then there will be a disconnect. At some point, that person will resign. Because I just took it because my priority was money at the time. But eventually, the priority changed. It comes back, ano bang gusto ko talaga? There's such a thing as ikigai.
Yes.
What's your passion? And the job you're doing is what you're passionate with. It doesn't become like work. It is, you're enjoying while you're earning, and things like that.
I sense a lot of accountability, right, over a person's performance. It's not just about that person, but it's also about how much you have led that person, right? And is this something that is, very possible to be done by leaders? I mean, is there enough time, in a period of 8 to 5 for a leader to actually invest time to understand more? Are the goals changing? Are the goals of my employees changing? Or are you in the right position? All of these kinds of considerations. I mean, this sounds very good, right? But I find that when I interact with a lot of managers, that yung complaint nila, they don't have time to do this because work just pushes them.
First of all, managers shouldn't just sit in their office and the door is shut. Even if your door is open, don't just sit at the office. Walk around.
Wow. So you need perfect shoes to walk the world in.
Hence, I get a rubber shoes.
Okay.
But I do walk a lot. Even in my stiletto in my days with the Swiss company, my staff will tell me, Ma'am, alam na namin pag nandiyan ka na. Alam na
Tok, tok,
namin ang
tok."
kabag ng takong mo. But I do walk around. I walk around because I check on how is the pulse of the people. Not deliberately. Because I just like to converse sometimes. Hey, how are you doing? And I make joke. And I make a certain personal touch of, hey, how's your kid? Uy, absent ka kahapon. Balita ko. You know what I mean? Oh, how's our backlog? Kiklear na ba tayo? Things like that. Oh yeah, the performance matrix is going low. So what I'm trying to say is that to know the pulse of the people, you have to walk around. Don't just stay in your beautiful office. Don't just stay in the boardroom. You need to touch people. Okay. Our managers also are very busy with a lot of operations, troubleshooting, firefighting. I made it a point with where I'm working right now, even in my previous work. Every Monday is Mancom Day. I try not to fail, not to have it. When it is, I feel that it is going to be not possible on that day because we all did an overtime yesterday. I just postpone it, but never a week without it. So I put it as it becomes second nature to their body. And then what I do there, I don't just do what's our pending of last week. Have you done this? Have you done that? No, I have a circle. Okay, what's bothering you? What's the constraint to do this or now? Any feedback, customer feedback, and so forth. So we do a very informal because by that you also remove the silo mentality of every department head. And I'll give them example of what's happening on the floor. So it's certain habits that you have to do.
Correct.
And you have to be, it's so easy to say that you have an open floor office. But if you are so scripted when you reply to them or pag dumating sila sa harap mo, sabi mo lang, how are you doing? I'm okay, ma. Oh, that's good, okay. And then you go like that. Then it's scripted.
Right. But does this kind of cadence happen more often when there is a female leader than a male leader?
Interesting question. Regardless of the gender, leadership traits can be in any gender it can be, in my opinion. Nagkataon lang, sabi nga nila, biologically, we're wired very differently. Okay? If we can combine the traits of a woman leader and the traits of a man, you create really an excellent...
The perfect leader.
An exponential leadership, as they call it, or extraordinary leader. Okay? I think what's the most important thing for leaders is to be able to shift gear depending on the situation. But shift gear by putting a balance of, para lang nagbabalance ka ng gas at brake. No? When you drive. Pero yung mga driving skills natin na hindi pa automatic.
Oo,
manual,
stick
stick pa lang.
Parating namamatayan.
Correct.
So, ibig sabihin parating mali ang
timpla mo.
Ang timpla.
Oo, no. But my point is that you were saying the cadence, right? And the traits of a woman, is it always a woman? Yes, women have more the listening skills, I believe, the active listening. Men also have. It's just a question of intensity. Okay? I know that we are more, I wouldn't call it emotional. We have the emotional honesty. Okay? That's very important. But if you have too much just listening skills, but you don't act on it, it's useless. Okay? Because what the recipient need is you listen. Sometimes they all just want somebody to listen to and labas lang nila yung dinadamdam nila. But at the end of the day, they also want to know if you are in a position, what can you do about it? Okay? And I tell you, I sometimes ask myself, if I'll be a CEO again of a corporate world, what would I change? Have I done enough at the time? You know? Because as you grow older, reality sinks in. And then there are things, as I said, when you're up there, you forget about what's in there. And when I was in Amazon and I heard what's the talk in the kitchen, you know,
The chismis, the
the
gossiping.
chismis, the gossip, but not all, but others are feedback. How they look at their leaders, what they think of the culture of the company. Because lumalabas yun eh. And then when I was there, you know, you were asking me about it, how I felt about it. I felt like, I hope if I can be a CEO again, I will do something differently in this aspect or so forth. Because parang there's a realization eh.
Let's deconstruct this in a very old-fashioned way. If the data will come from people there, on the ground, what is the best leader for them? Name top 3 attributes that they want their leaders to have.
Top attributes, I would think, the humility.
Okay.
Okay. Humility is important so that they could see that you are not with ego and you will listen and things like that. I call it emotional honesty, but simply because I want a leader that went to me and asked how I am is because you're just really being honest.
And there will be no judgment.
And there's no judgment.
So if somebody comes to you as a leader and tells you, for example, that she's feeling, she doesn't know the answer for something or couldn't solve any problem, she comes to you very raw. You want that. You appreciate that.
Correct. I believe the people belong at that level. You know, I went back and I want a boss that listens with humility, with emotional honesty.
So, humility, and then you wanted emotional honesty from your boss.
Emotional honesty from my boss. I want a boss also that will pave the way. Whether we like it or not, maraming, how do I say this? There's such a thing as an inclusive leader, okay, which is the buzzword now.
Yes.
Okay? I want an inclusive leader technically. And that inclusive leader has many traits. Okay? But at the end of the day, kahit inclusive leader ka, but do you do something about it to institutionalize the inclusivity in the organization?
Genuinely, I guess the word there is, it's not just tokenism, right? It's really, when you say inclusivity, for example, what do you mean by this? The race, gender?
The diversity, the gender, the voices. You listen to all the voices. You respect and celebrate all types of the diversity, whether you're LGBTQ or whether your nationality, whether your religion or your age, is celebrated. Okay? And that you understand the needs of these diverse people and what can you do that it's not just a token of celebration once a year,
Yes.
but you institutionalize.
You make it part of the culture every day.
You make it part of and you institutionalize it through the policies and procedures and the employee guidelines. It is not just, it's Women's Month. It's LGBTQ month. It's Grandmother's Month. It's Siblings Month. Or it's Filipino month. All of that thing. Okay, you celebrate it. But that is just a once a year. But at the end of the day, it's the diversity of the people and their various voices. You listen to their suggestions. And with that suggestions, how do you make out of that suggestions? What is their pain points? And how can you equalize it? And not just on a one action program, but how do you put it in the policy so that even when you're no longer the leader, it is sustainable and continued to the next generation. So you keep the culture and really, dahil hindi matatakot yung tao mo, pag nawala ka na, paano na kami?
Correct.
No. It's because it's
A lot of times
institutionalized.
the culture of the leader becomes the culture of the company. But I guess it's also important, right? That makes the leader very egotistic, right? Pag wala ako, wala na tong
Correct.
sira na yung culture.
Yun yung when the ego comes in.
And
Ha?
dapat wala, di ba?
Oo, wala. Kasi pag ginawa mo lang yon para bida ka.
Yes, bida-bida.
Bida-bida. Okay? Pag umala ka, hindi na nila kaya yan.
Maraming leaders na bida-bida, di ba?
Oo, gagawin mo lang yung programa. Pero hindi mo in-institutionalize na sa succession planning. If you do not think of succession planning, you have to have a succession planning for the people and for the company. You institutionalize things para kahit wala ka na, it continues the program that matters to the people and to the company. You develop new leaders. If you don't develop new leaders, okay, deliberately and things like that, I hope it is not done out deliberately para you feel like you're indispensable. You're trying to create an environment that I'm indispensable.
Right.
Nobody's indispensable in this world, and things like that.
Correct.
So I go back to the leadership you're talking about, whether it's a man or a woman. For me, it's a combination of traits. May strength ang babae at may strength ang lalaki.
And I like the metaphor that you said, yung stick driving natin, the gas and the brake.
Yeah.
And we need to make timpla, no? And work-life balance, all the different kinds of, the things that we need to balance. It's just so damn hard to balance all of these things, right?
When you run a company, di ba, kailangan mo ng dashboard? Pag namaneho kami dashboard ka, di ba?
Oh, correct.
You would see the gauge of how's your gas, how's your engine.
Kumusta na ang energy,
Kamusta
diba?
ang energy and everything else? Kamusta ang gulong ko? It's the same in running a company. At the end of the day, what is your important dashboard?
Kailangan ang CEO magaling na driver.
Correct.
Diba? And
At
you're
ano
able
yung
to
dashboard?
understand. Correct.
Yes. Yeah. And what's your dashboard for your key metrics?
I think it's very interesting, right? And even the engine, what kind of engine do you want? It's a very powerful metaphor. So you mentioned, three things. Number one, they're looking for honesty. They're looking for emotional honesty, humility, and inclusivity. So I will shift gear. Punta naman tayo, tercera naman tayo. Shift gear for a while and change our topic and move it to your daughter. Because I think this is where your greatest leadership skills are really, unfolding. Leadership at home. Venus. Let's talk about her. She is a transgender woman.
Correct.
Bring me through the time that she actually came out.
Wow.
And how you felt.
He was my Harry Potter. When my kid was a kid, he had so many TV commercials in the Philippines. And he has these eyeglasses who looks like John Lennon.
I've seen the old photos.
Yeah, it looks like John Lennon or looks
Right.
like Harry Potter. So, whenever he walks into the mall and say, "Hi, Harry Potter." No, my name is David. You already see that's so important for
The
her now. I call her
identity.
the identity.
Right.
At a very young kid, I'm not Harry Potter. My name is David. So you could see at a very young age, talaga ang strong personality niya. Alam niya kung ano siya, sino siya. Okay? Eventually, when he was a kid, he has a favorite cartoon which is the wings, which yung mga fairy wings. Yeah, it's normal, but he likes cars, he likes trucks, he likes Thomas the Train, and he's a very, may pagka-bully pa nga yan nung mali. Anyways, we were in a Toys R Us or something, and then he saw the character, which is the fairy with the wings. He looked at it. Usually, bibili yan ng Lego and everything. First time, he picked that up. And he looked at
How old was he then?
I would think about 7 or 8 years old.
Okay.
And he looked at me and he looked at his dad. He was in a toy store. It was like, at a young age, parang alam niya na yung stereotype na babae ka, ito ang laruan mo, lalaki ka, ito. But he looked at me like, looking for approval. Can I buy it? Okay? Because he knows that it's something different. And I saw my husband going like that. And I looked at my husband, I said, yes, of course. That's your favorite cartoon, right? I went like, let's go buy it, So when we bought it and when we were in the US, so we got to the house of my sister, nakita ko yung anak ko, tinago niya kagad yung manika sa likod niya. Ayaw niya pakita sa ate ko.
Okay.
So sabi ko, there's nothing wrong. Come on, you play with it. That's your favorite cartoon. So what I say is that subconsciously the kid probably feels there's something wrong, but without yet realizing it.
And then knows where judgment,
and
where
no judgment
is.
No judgment for me.
Yeah.
But some
maybe
people do.
Yeah, exactly.
Some people
so
do.
So at the age of 7, alam na niya sino mag-judge.
I think so. When he came out, halala.
Okay.
Okay? And I go back and forth.
And how old was he?
He was about 12 years old, I think. Yeah, about 12 years old. So eventually he was like telling me things I'm not sure he was telling me. You know? But he wasn't yet revealing.
You were clueless, or you were just not making pahalata that you were already thinking?
I do not think I was clueless, but I was trying to balance the puberty or the hormones that goes into the body that changes as you grow up.
Okay.
I was looking at it in terms of chemistry. And I was relating it
Biology.
when I was biological. Anyways, eventually, December 2024, I decided to go to Manila for Christmas. Nauna ako at sumunod sila, susundo ko sila. Pag sundo ko sa kanila, and then 24, nagluluto ako, naghihiwa ako, yakap siya sa akin bigla. Mom, I think I know what I am. Dulong lang siya. Okay. So alam kong this is the moment. You know, alam kong medyo kumukurot na yung puso ko na I have to be ready whatever it is. Although you know it's coming, but it's still different when somebody tells it to you direct from their mouth. From their lips, should I say. And he said, I'm gay. Gay ang una niyang sabi ha, hindi trans.
Gay.
And that was about age 12 or 13. Okay? I'm gay. So medyo kumurot ang puso ko, pero sabi ko, okay.
Napalakas ba ang iyong paghihiwa?
Hindi naman. Hindi. I was expecting it already.
Okay.
But what I was telling him is, at the time I said, that's good, you know who you are. Okay, let's put that sperm in a bank kasi gusto ko magkaapo. Okay? You're creepy, Mom. I'm not even thinking of that. You know, I'm just being practical. You know, gusto ko ng apo. Blah, blah, blah. No. I don't even want to talk about that. Sabi niya. So eventually, so ayan na, little by little, unti-unti, biglang gusto niya na mag-makeup. Mom, can we go to a makeup store? Gusto niya na, nag-eksperimento na ng makeup. So akala ko lang, gusto niya lang mag-makeup. Tsaka kasi generation natin, bakla, tomboy lang, wala namang gitna eh. Di ba? Ang tingin ko mga sa kanya, okay yan, para kanyang si Anderson Cooper. Yung mga, yun ang naging model ko. Sabi ko, oh, look at Anderson Cooper, newscaster siya, da-da-da. Pero hindi siya going against it. So every time na nasa Amerika kami, eventually, he would like me to watch Pose. It's a Netflix movie called Pose. And it's about women, transgender, basically. So sabi niya, what I was realizing there is that he was trying to educate me on the things that interest her and what she's going through. Okay? And then one time, hindi yan nagdadamit ng babae. Lalaki pa rin ang damit niyan. Pero nag-uunti-unti na yan nagme-makeup. Which is normal, no? Sa mga ganyan. One time I came home from the Philippines to America, sinundo niya ako sa airport. Pag sundo sa akin, naka-blouse ng babae. So, it was the first time I've seen her in a blouse of a girl. Pero naka-jeans. So, medyo nagulat ako. Pero pagdating, kita ko, uy, ganda ng blouse mo. Mas bagay sa akin yan. You know, I just make it like that so that it's like breaking
Rosario, this is, I have to admit, a little bit out of my comfort zone, and I am really admiring the way you are taking all of this and you're reacting to this. So talagang cool ka lang.
Yeah, I don't want to show that I reject the choice, the decision. I just say, mas bagay sa akin
Pero
yan.
there must be an emotion inside.
Oh yeah.
What
Alam
is
mo,
that emotion?
Pagdating ko sa kotse, asawa ko nagmamaneho, nasa likod siya. Tinext ko yung asawa ko, why didn't you even texted me to tell me he's wearing a blouse when you pick me up at the airport? So as not to surprise me, to prepare me. So I was going like that to my husband, but I wasn't showing it to my kid. Tapos nung nasa kotse, sabi ng anak ko pa, Mom, do you think I can wear an earring? Nag-umpisa na. Sure, sabi ko. Sagot ng anak ko, thanks, Mom. See that? You cannot hide behind Mom's decision anymore. She accepts it. You know, it was really weird how my kid, at the end of the day, he was playing between me and my husband, you know, of who's accepting or who's whatever and things like that. Yes, I was cool about it. Why? Because I don't want him. I've read about these things and I've seen it in the Post movie that this transgender or whatever it is, LGBTQ, when they are rejected by their family, they try to find another family that they feel they will be more welcome. I do not want my kid to feel that and look for another family because we are the family. I want my kid to know that she is accepted, she is supported, and she is celebrated. And to be honest, when she told me that she is eventually trans, a cross-dresser and a trans woman, at first gusto niya rin lalaki or babae. Shifting siya. After being gay, sabi niya, Mom, I'm bisexual. Mom, I am fluid. And now, no, not gay, not bisexual, not fluid. I am a trans woman. It takes quite a while of a journey to find who they really are. They're exploring with all the letters of LGBTQ. So once she knew already what she wants, she became really deliberate in everything she does. The choice of her words, the choice of movies, the choice of friends, and everything else. And I'm learning only that that's much more different. But I have to tell you, the fear that came to me is that the world is cruel, can be sometimes cruel to their kind. That as a mother, I felt, how can I make it safe for her? Already, when there is a boy or a girl and a toddler as they grow up, you want a safe place for your kid. I felt that, oh gosh, it's gonna be more difficult journey for her. Because whether we like it or not, we're still in an era not yet 150% accepted. Yes, we now had a pope who is very open. Yes, the social media is much more open about it. Yes, we are in America that is more open about it, but not in all states. Okay? You know, I am still groping, trying to grasp and trying to understand what goes on in their mind. When people criticize me about my kid, their criticism is, bakit nagbago yan from the kid to now? Naging mas vocal. The language has become different. Masyado siya all out in social media, showing her body and flaunting this and flaunting that. You know what I tell them? I think we have to be more understanding. We don't know what's going on with them. They're fighting the cocktail of hormones in their body. Hindi lang hormones of a teenage hormones, but the cocktail hormones of trying to understand what they are. They have a lot of insecurity, which you and I do not have similar level of insecurity to them. They need more understanding. They project themselves to be very confident and sure of themselves, but deep inside, there's a longing to belong. There's a longing to be understood. There's a longing to be loved. Because they do not feel that they can be easily loved by a man because there's a transgender, because they're not the same as us, which biologically have all the spare parts of a woman.
And you must be fighting these emotions too. You also have your own cocktail of emotions.
Yeah, hormones
As a
of menopause.
Right.
Fighting of teenage hormones with a cocktail of hormones.
And everything adding together, right? I hear your words. I see how you're, explaining this all to me, and I see confidence. But I know deep down as a mother, there must be competing consequences, right? You're protecting your kid against bullying, for example, and yet you want your kid to be celebrated and to be happy, right? And protecting her, with the reactions of the world. I mean, all of these things together.
Honestly, some people think because I have a kid who's a transgender that I have a better understanding. Yes, I have a better understanding, but I am still not fully there. Because I come from a different generation, and she comes from a different generation, and all we have to do is to educate each other. The feeling, as much as we're trying to understand how they feel, I think equally they also have to understand how we feel, and hopefully be able to harmonize that. It's just like with employee and employer, the moral hazard of what's in it for me, it's similar. But it's how you educate each other. I'm still educating myself, trying to learn. And I cannot tell you whether I'm well versed about it. I used to have, not used to, when I was running SGS, I had diverse people. I had the full length of LGBTQ. I had trans woman there, I had gay there, I had lesbian there and everything. And I don't look at them on their sexual orientation. I look at them in their value that they contribute to the company. And now that I have my own kid that is of that sexual orientation different, it becomes more personal to me now. That I feel that if I can only go back as a CEO when I have the influence and authority to institutionalize more for inclusivity, I would do it differently.
And yet, going back to the workplace, right? Our systems, our culture, our leadership. I mean, some people and some systems are not yet fully inclusive.
Yeah.
And we will get to that perfect state, end state. But right now, this is such a messy middle that we are in. And I guess even for those who are not LGBTQ plus IA, the people are probably also wanting to reach out and understand more, right? But they are afraid to offend.
Correct.
Right?
They don't know how to approach it.
Yes, and we're so used to language before baklayan, badingyan and all, and now I don't know if I'm offending or not. How do you propose? What kind of state should we all be in so that nobody offends and nobody gets offended?
It's
In an
hard, ah.
inclusive culture.
One, it's hard because one, they have a different lingo. Once you miss, like my kid, ah. Filipino has no gender sa Tagalog. Kay babae, lalaki ka, ikaw, siya. Walang
Yes.
gender eh.
Oo,
So
tama.
when we translate it to English, we always mistake she, pero I, he ka pala.
Oo, correct.
I, he, I, she ka pala. Okay? And every time I commit a mistake, my kid is, hindi niya ako papansinin. Because she feels offended that I called him a he. I keep on saying, anak, kasi maintindihan mo naman. Walang gender kasi talaga sa English from the Tagalog. Pero as a matter of habit lang, habi ko, I don't mean it. No. Galit sila. So, what I'm trying to say is how the inclusivity, we have to be cognizant that these are the things that they feel offended.
They're very sensitive about
They're
that.
very
I guess.
sensitive about the pronouns and how you call them and so forth. How do we educate ourselves? We just have to educate, and then it's educating your tongue also.
Correct.
It's hard to re-educate your tongue and rewire your brain.
Right.
And we don't mean it. We're not trying to offend. We're just,
And it's hard eh.
It's
Kasi
hard, man.
I think, 'di ba, especially members of the the C-suite, for example, the management, most of them Gen X.
Yeah.
Diba? Tabu yan nung Gen X. So may mindset yan, may language yan, tapos lahat yan papalitan mo. 'Di ba? And may ego pa na sino mag-a-adjust, kami mag-a-adjust o sino mag-a-adjust, right? So all of these things together. And yet here's a group of people who wanted representation, who wanted equality, and who wanted a voice. And pag nagkamali ka lang na misrepresent, it's offensive to them. So, we also need para rin tong break at para rin tong gas. Kailangan natin bumalanse here, right?
Correct.
So, what should change first?
What should change first?
Yes.
The culture has to change, really. But the culture is nothing if you do not, I will go back, institutionalizing policies.
But the
That speaks of that.
But the person who institutionalize it is key, right? Because that
Correct.
person needs to be
That person has to believe in it.
otherwise token.
Token siya or bias ka. And it doesn't have to be one person. Ah. In a boardroom, I go back to a boardroom and there's been a lot of talks of, is it an inclusive board members? You have to have a diverse representation of board members that will be the spokesperson for that diverse voices.
Do you correct them in the boardroom, for example, if one leader makes a mistake and say offensive things, about a person, gender-wise? Do you correct them? Do you feel the need, for example, to educate the leaders?
It's important to educate them, but there's a way to tell them off. You can say it in many ways.
Minsan kasi-
Magbibiro ka lang ng konti.
Oo.
Preno ka ng konti.
Okay.
Alam mo naman, hindi yung, oy, bawal yan. You know what I mean? there's a different style of
Right.
leadership in terms of like that.
And then sometimes you feel that they will be very careful with their language when you're there, but you know when you're not there, they'll be a little bit, free to speak about that in a language, in a linguistic or grammar that they are more comfortable with. So I guess these things also need, a lot of acculturation, a lot of, right? Changing the state, being in a state of respectful curiosity, I guess. I don't know everything, and you don't know everything. And if we come together and meet in the center, where there's, none of these gender issues, but just love and care for each other as human beings, we're bound to actually make better policies, right?
You talk of curiosity. I will always equate curiosity of what I said earlier. It's curiosity with emotional honesty. You're curious because you are really concerned. You care. And sabi mo, kung wala na yung boss doon sa harap, gagawin ba nila? I just hope that we don't learn our lesson when there was already a consequence.
Yes.
Because some people only learn at the expense of something untoward has happened, and then it sticks to the mind of people. Because some people, until you experience it, until you are in the shoes of that, maaring, as I mentioned to you, that when I suddenly have a kid, I became more personal about it, So minsan, when people doesn't feel like they have a perfect life situation, and until something happens, that's when they only realize it. I just hope it doesn't come to that situation, to that effect. It will take time. It's a culture of the company, but culture is one. You speak about it, but you gotta walk the talk.
Yes.
You gotta walk the talk,
and
man.
I am so sure you will do it. You've been walking the talk, going up, down, listening to everybody, and with your many experiences on how probably your mind was reset.
A simple walk the talk. Toilet facilities. Simple practical application of inclusivity.
So ano ang dapat? What's the
Okay.
right?
I've seen in many countries how they do this, and this is something we should also apply. You can have a very inclusive toilet that kahit anong gender mo pwede ka. The cubicle are all closed. Nakapila yung mga papasok, whatever gender. So when you enter there, in that toilet, you have your safe space. It doesn't say it is for boy or for girl or for whatever gender. But you have a safe space. Hindi yung isang kwarto kayo pos nakikita-kita. There's one experience of my kid, nung bagong labas lang siya. Nakatakong na siya, naka-blouse na siya, may konting makeup siya. Ano lang siya, mga 14, 15 years old. Nagbabakasyon siya rito. Ganon siya lang, ganon. Sa may cinema kami sa Greenbelt, sa taas. Ganon siya lang, ganon. Ano ba nangyayari sa'yo? Naiihi ka ba? Kung naiihi ka, pumasok ka na sa banyo. Don't make big deal. But Mom, I cannot go to the boys' room. I'm dressed like this. Sabi niya. It didn't sink into my mind. So it's being conscious. So hinila ko siya. Halika, punta tayo sa babaeng banyo. Pasok ka sa banyo. Bantay ako sa labas. May tumitingin sa kanya, may papasok siya. Titignan ko masama. Problema mo. Ano mo? So you become so protective. I became more protective. And that's when I realized that the simple thing as a toilet facilities has to be inclusive. That they feel safe. It's a safe space, not just for trans. It's for all. You want a safe space for everybody.
We need to educate everyone, right? And everyone needs to listen. I guess everything and all will be perfect in the fullness of time. Right now, we are in this middle together. I just hope that there will be a lot of debates, a lot of conversation on full inclusivity so that we all learn together, to make sure that everyone is represented and everyone has a voice. Time is short. Rosario, one last question is, with all of your experiences, as a telephone operator, a kitchen staff, CEO, managing director, and with your daughter, when you put it all together, what is your one message to this world?
One message to this world, you should always ask yourself, have I done enough? Have I done enough for the good of all? Have I done enough towards the purpose that you believe in? And if I go to myself again, I question myself, have I done enough when I was a CEO and an MD? When I had the authority and the influence to make things happen? If I could only go back and to have no what if. So my address to them is you ask yourself, have you done enough? And make sure there's no what if. If you don't ask, you won't know. If you don't do it, you won't know. Don't be afraid.
Just ask, just do.
Just ask, just do. When you ask, just be prepared that the answer may be no, the answer may be yes, the answer be maybe. But be prepared to give your reason why you ask that. Because any mother or any bosses, when you ask for something, they expect you to give the reason. And when you present yourself and express your voice is heard, the management or your mom or whoever would listen and assess and listen, most importantly, not just you ask it, but what's your reason why you ask it. So we can understand where you're coming from.
Wow. Before we go, may fast round tayo.
Oh my gosh.
Ito na.
Para ka pala si Boy Abunda.
Ito ang pinaka What is your biggest fear?
My biggest fear is about my kid. My biggest fear is the finding the belongingness will eat her up. And forget that we are here for her and the family. She doesn't have to find for belongingness because she belongs. She is my kid.
Yes.
And my fear is it will eat her up searching for belongingness. And my fear is nobody will take her seriously for love. I want her to find love.
Yeah.
True love. And somebody that will really love her. That's my greatest fear.
And we have a job to do. We have to knock on every door. We have to walk the extra mile, and we have to talk to every friend so that we could educate them and, have more understanding and more equality in this world. I'm going to have a long pause this afternoon to try and take in the newness of everything that you have shared with me today. And I am sure I've grown today by a mile, and thank you so much for the honor of having you as my guest today, Rosario.
It's my pleasure. Put the words out there. I think one day we need to educate the mothers and the fathers too about what is really inclusivity.
And I am here for you and with you on that.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that's a wrap on today's episode. I hope you leave this conversation with something, a thought, a feeling, a question you hadn't asked before. That's all I ever want for you. Remember, success is not just something you achieve. It is something you already carry inside you from the very beginning of time. You have everything you need. You just have to believe it. Behave better, think stronger, feel with empathy. I love you, Godspeed, and always be awesome.